creativity and AI seem to be at variance for a lot of people. But for us and for me, I think that it's a good innovation. I think that it's something that will change the face of our careers as creatives. And so the earlier we are informed about what we need to do, the better for us. So yeah, my name is Femi Morgan, and I'm going to invite in my one of the speakers. His name is Habib Ajijola. He is the CEO and founder of GrowthVerse, and he is a retired spoken word poet. Because he's left spoken word for tech, you know, he's one of the biggest growth enthusiasts. And growth is more or less marketing, PR. Growth is more or less strategy, creative strategy. So he's left all the poetry and verses for PR. And so Habib is a growth enthusiast. He's a growth CEO. He's a retired spoken word poet. He spent over 15 years of his life building capacity, building companies, helping with marketing, helping with community growth. And he's also a member of the Greats and Bards, which I belong to. Greats and Bards is a community of people who like to engage social conversations, and it's a village square. It's a reenactment of the African village square. And what we do there is that we come together, we gather around, we enjoy ourselves, but we talk about very important issues. And AI has been one of those issues that we've also talked about. So Habib Ajijola, Growth CEO. How do we sit these days? You know, when you're meeting power people, you don't even come and sit here. You know, when you're meeting power people, you don't even know how to navigate your sitting position. Okay, so Habib, I think that we should start with sharing our LABAF experience. You used to be a volunteer at LABAF, and you used to be a world-recognized poet, and now you sort of, you know, transitioned, or what's the word, evolved into becoming this growth, you know, this growth CEO. And now you are eyeing AI again, which means that you are evolving again into maybe an AI guru. So what's the transition like from being a creative to being a growth tech CEO? I think this mic works.
Every single time you say growth CEO, I'm like, what exactly does a growth CEO do? So I think, as you've said, I think life is all about transition. I think art and creativity has always been a part of who I am. I started writing at a very young age, and I really loved poetry and writing, and I got into that. I was performing across stages all over the country and even outside of the country. But you know, there's this thing about sustainability. You know, at every point in life, you find sustenance first before you find happiness. That's the way life is. And you know, at the point where I was actively writing and actively doing poetry and actively being a creative, the reality as at then for creatives was, if you sit and wait for the things you're doing as a creative, as a writer, to feed you, you will eat, but you might just not eat and belly full is the issue. And I think that drew me first towards design and some other aspect of tech before I eventually settled as a growth marketing specialist for a number of tech companies. So I think which is also why conversations like this are important, because unlike back in the day, the early 2010s and the likes, where the only way you earn money as a creative is to publish a book, or when people like Femi Morgan and our Gajaman host one event like this and they invite you to come and perform and they put one small 10 or 20K in your pocket. So that was the only way you could earn as a creative back then. But in today's world, there's an explosion of opportunities when you look at what you can achieve with digital tech, AI. So it's also why it's important for at least people that have experienced both sides of the coin can also explain to go, you don't need to, even if you want to publish a book, you don't need to go and meet Ogafemi Morgan that will charge you 5 million naira and you start running up and down to publish a hardcover book. There are better ways to do that. There are better ways to do some of these things leveraging technology and AI. So thanks.
So one way or the other, he has exposed me that I'm a publisher and that publishing is dying with AI. But we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll talk about publishing. We'll talk about copyright. We'll talk about gigs that you have, gigs that AI can enhance your productivity. We'll talk about all of that. I would like to invite someone that I have just met, but I know that he's been instrumental to a lot of growth in the tech space. He is one of the leaders of Nigeria's fintech space. His name is Babatokpe Oni, and he is the CTO of GigBank. You're welcome. So CTOs and CEOs, they don't really dress to impress, they just dress simple. I think that the richer you are, the less, the less you want to show up. You're like Mark Zuckerberg, you just wear blue, you wear brown, you wear purple. I'm not saying you don't have money. I'm just saying that.
I don't have money. I don't have money.
I'm just saying that, rich people dress simple. Babatokwe, thank you for, out of your busy schedule, coming to spend time at LABAF. The Lagos Book and Arts Festival is a festival that's been around for more than 20 years. Its Green Festival, which is the festival for children, has been around for 20. And it's called Africa's largest culture picnic. Because of its consistency, it has been recognized globally by several organizations. And people like ourselves, Jam, Habib, Babatunde Odubanwo, and a couple of others have sort of groomed their artistry from the Lagos Book and Arts Festival. So I know this is your first time of coming to the festival. Yes, so you're welcome. Yeah, thank you. So, so are you a creative like Habib, or you have always been a banker?
Oh, the short answer is no. But funny thing, when I was young, I used to draw. So I think that counts for being a creative, I guess. Yeah. So I used to draw comic. So I was fascinated with comics and all that growing up. So I used to draw comics. But apart from that, I can't write poems. Okay. I can't do creative writing. So
you didn't write poems for your wife?
Oh no, that one is different. That one will flow. That one flows naturally. Yeah. So you have to write poem.
Okay, so let's just hit off with the conversation. The first thing that comes to mind, okay, let me look for trouble before I ask the question. There was this young Christian of mine that asked me that, what do we do about AI and the Holy Spirit? Do we put the Holy Spirit aside, since AI is like the encyclopedia of the world, And I didn't even know how to answer that question. I was just like, báwo ni, permit my Yoruba, èwo ló kan AI àti Holy Spirit? Kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀? Why are people confused, So the first thing is, what is AI? Let's break it down like that. What is AI? And possibly what are the potentials of AI? Yeah.
All right, thank you. So I think I'll start from where you started, because I'm a Christian. Yeah. And we say, okay, Holy Spirit and AI, which one do you ask when you have questions, right? AI basically would give you answers based on information it has in the present and past. So from data across different data sources to the current time, it will give you and will be able to predict responses based on the large data set that it has. But Holy Spirit knows the end, from the beginning, so it's different. If you want like the more superior answer, You definitely want to ask Holy Spirit. Yes. So AI is basically that minds data, helps you. Just not a non-technical answer to that is it has bank of data. So whether it's for text, whether it's pictures. So for instance, maybe an aspect of AI would be deepfakes, for instance, where I can pull millions of pictures of a person or millions of videos of a person and create a new video or picture that did not exist based on all the information I have from all the data. So, same with if it's text, if it's writing. Imagine I'm feeding a model with 1 million books or 10 million books and tell it to write his own book. It's going to use the information it has from all those books and will create his own version that might look like some or might be completely different. That's just a summary.
Okay, let me stay with you. You are not a banker. Don't, all these people that do fintech, they always tell you, no, I'm not a banker in the traditional
Not a
sense. They try to avoid, the idea of the banker, because naturally when you say banker, the first thing that comes to mind is money. The next thing that comes to mind is that they're probably very more stingy than the accountants. But you're not a banker, and the name of your bank is Gig Bank, which means that you work with a lot of young people, a lot of remotes, a lot of freelancers, a lot of people who work in Nigeria and earn dollars, and work in Nigeria and earn euro, and a lot of people who do tech. And that's amazing, because part of what creatives thrive on is creativity, and this is tech. How many organizations or how many people have come to accept that AI is an enabler? And do you think that platforms, Upwork, and the rest are beginning to embrace the enabling power of AI without dismissing the work that pays the dollars?
Yeah, so generally speaking, when AI started coming into mainstream, there's a lot of fear, a lot of panic that especially in my field. So I'm into fintech, but broadly I'm into tech, engineering, and strategy. So imagine maybe a deck that you'll have created over weeks. You can just put in a prompt, and within 2 seconds you have it. So there's a legitimate fear of, okay, my work, will it be accepted and all. So, but what is important is, yes, it has come to stay. There's nothing it's even growing faster than predicted. It's growing too fast. And, you see some videos, like, I know most of us might have noticed, you see a video online now, you have to start figuring, is this thing real? Somewhere in my mind, I won't just say it's AI. By default, I'll say it's AI. So it's better for me to assume it's AI than for me to assume it's real. So that's how real, this is now. You have some documents you create with prompts, and, you can create scripts for movies. You can create scripts for, it's like, sometimes even when I want to present somewhere, I can just have AI feed my thoughts to it. It creates the deck, designs it, and within 1 minute, 5 minutes, I'm done. Right, so most platforms already know. Even if you see some of these freelance platforms, they have categories now for very AI-specific roles. If you check Upwork, Fiverr, and others, you would see specific categories for AI. Okay, you want to build an AI agent, you want to do this, you want to do that. And there's also this acceptance that people would most likely use AI to do whatever work you give them to do. Then I guess the next step is maybe doing the work a bit smarter, so that you can have your own unique personality in your work and not just, imprint in it, exactly.
So I'm coming to you so that you don't feel that because you are not a banker, I'm not talking to you, So you've always been in the creative space. Despite being a growth person, you bring that creative imprint of your creative poetics, because I've worked with you. I've seen how you bring your poetics, your creativity into growth, such that even your designs are unique, even your approach to human psychology is unique because you have first become a spoken word poet before you start marketing. So for me, the question would be, this thing called creative work, how is AI going to impact it? You know, I'm a poet. I'm also a retired poet. So, but if I decide to, if I decide to write a book of poetry now, you know, would you say that, oh, Morgan has used 70% AI, this poetry work is not his? So how has it impacted creative output? You know, yeah.
Okay, so I think this particular question is one of the three big questions when it comes to how AI is affecting creative work. So the first aspect of it is, as a creative, to what extent does AI impact my work? To what extent can I say, oh, this is my creative work and this is AI? Because the whole purpose of being a creative is that there is an underlying process of creation that comes with it, regardless of what it is: music, writing, poetry, design. There is something that you've taken from inside of you, and from that you've given life to a piece of work, which is where the creative or the process of creating that comes as part of creativity comes. So if I now just take a prompt and put that prompt into ChatGPT and say, write me the best love poem in the world, and then ChatGPT gives me some lines, do we still say that that is creativity? Do you still qualify as a creative in that instance? So this is a conversation that has a lot of back and forth, and there is no one fit all. I think where I like to stay is to actually stay at the equilibrium of it all. So as a creative, if you decide to say that, oh, me, I'm a traditional creative, I'm never going to use AI, I'm going to first spend 3 weeks researching a particular topic before I even write any poem about it, and then, whereas one boy would go and use AI, and in 30 minutes, it's done with the same work you as the hardcore creative would take a month to do. So I think where the balance comes is to understand how to use AI as a creative without taking away the life from your work. So, like my Oga has said, I think in the introduction, you know, introduced that Roberto is my boss, my actual boss, he pays my salary. So AI is just a body of knowledge. It's a body of knowledge. So you need to understand how to use that body of knowledge, not to replace your creative process, but to enhance it. So back in the day when I was still actively writing poems, the way I do write, I have a very, very systematic way of writing poetry. I know that my poems, I write very deep emotional poems. So I know the first thing I have to
do. Perform for us today before you go. And it will not be AI. You perform for us, but it will not be AI. Yes.
That was not part of the.
Yes,
the brief.
I know.
So it would most likely require that I get to have a deep understanding of the subject matter. I need to imbibe myself into it, so I could have enough knowledge to create the sort of emotion I want to create. Before AI, this would usually take a whole lot of time. I'm on different platforms reading all that creative works that has been done about that thing, and then sometimes I start out with noting out some lines that stand out, some things I really like, just so it could serve as inspiration for me. This is a very stressful process. But now, I can just give AI a prompt. In fact, I can ask AI to say, oh, if I want to create this sort of work, what are the best keywords, the best thought processes, lines? And then in 5 minutes, AI gives me the things I need to be reading about, I need to be focusing on. And there are times when, as a creative as well, you face blockers. There is no harm in using AI to fix your work. There are times when, I'm using a particular rhyme scheme. Back in the day, there are some times that you'll be stuck on a particular rhyme, just one line, just to find the right, how to structure that word the right way so it fits the scheme. And 10 days later, you still haven't found that one single word. So those are also ways you can still leverage AI to get better. You can put that in AI and ask AI to help you with either inspirations or give you ideas on what the best way to get this done is. So yeah, to a short answer to your question is where you find, where you stay as a creative is somewhere in between the two. Don't be that creative that just puts, write me the best poem in the world, and you go out and start for, I'm a poet. Because the life that spells creativity in the process, you've taken that out of it. And, that's the easiest way to kill hearts. That's the easiest way for hearts to become redundant. And, but don't also be that guy that will be, me that will show in car trained, I will never use AI. So don't be that guy. Understand how to also use AI to enhance your work, and in there is where you find the balance, and you don't get lost with the times.
I like to joke. I'm not the standard moderator. I like to joke. I like to look for trouble. I like to go back and forth. So you could actually just go to AI and say, pick out of Olarotimi's work, add a bit of Shoyinka, and add a bit of Zulu Sofola, and give me a new work. Let the work be about love and heartbreak, and then it will produce it, and you'll be fine to use it. But if you now make the mistake of presenting that work in the presence of Babatunde, Wole Soyinka, and the rest, they will get angry with you. Their spirits will get angry with you. And the audience that are very intelligent will find out that how will I put it? You are just faking to make it, So that creative imprint has to come in. For me, I have been using AI to do a lot of research. I've been using AI to do a lot of research. I've been using AI to challenge some of my thought processes. I've been doing a lot of internal work at Fairchild Media with AI, internal work, because I realized that, I've said it before at this stage, that the guys in their 50s, the people in their 50s, in their 60s, they are still a bit averse to AI, and they want you to do original thought process, So to make your original thought process easier, you could ask AI some very intelligent questions, and then from there, your work becomes much, much easier. So let me ask you, the fear factor of this AI thing is really, really, it's big, It used to be like a global thing. Some people say AI is a thing of the West. It will never come here. Oh yeah, it will just take some few jobs, It will take some few jobs. It will never come to my career profession. I'm a dancer. What's my business with AI? I'm a filmmaker. It's not my business. AI cannot come for my job. I'm a poet. AI cannot come for my job. Well, I'm sorry. I've asked AI to produce a poem for me, and I'm sure I cannot write that poem. I just gave it a prompt. Write this poem for me, and he wrote it perfect like Shakespeare. I can't write like that. I can't. But creatives are steeped in their own, what will I call it? In their own almightiness, and they think that AI will not come for their job. So can you break it down a bit? Filmmaker, photographer, music artist, has AI come for their jobs?
The short answer for that is some, because the truth is it will affect some people's jobs. And this is the conversation I've been in with different people over time on, okay, what kind of jobs will it affect? It will open up new jobs, and it might affect some. So let me explain. So let's say I'm someone that writes before, and the way I write is I don't have a unique style. I just pick from different people's work, I merge it. Over time, the people that would stay are people that have unique work that is identifiable, and you can't compare an artist, someone that draws, for instance, and just say, put a prompt and say, go and draw. There will be difference in, if somebody is doing oil on canvas, for instance, you cannot ask AI to paint on canvas on oil. There will be those differences there, but generally speaking, yes, it will affect. So there's a way to also protect yourself, because you know this is not the first time we're having something like this. Uh, so there was a time they were just typewriters, and everybody was using typewriter. Maybe everybody's mom was a typist. Maybe you're a clerk or secretary somewhere, and you are, you know, you learned how to do typewriter. Some of us here, when we were learning computer, we learned Mavis Bacon. Does that, I don't know if anybody has used that since then. You know, a lot of people did Mavis Bacon there. You're trying to, you know, test your typing. It's from, because we know our parents were typists, and we believe that, okay, there's a future in typing fast. You know, but I don't know if there are any, I don't know personally, if there's any job that is focused on being able to type fast, right? So at that time, there was also fear that computers are coming. We typists would not have a job. There will be nothing for us to do. The people that are smart decided to say, okay, what's this new thing that is coming up? Computers. Let's learn it. So some of them moved from using typewriters to typing in offices with a desktop, maybe Windows 97, 95, with the big box, and with, you see the pixels on the screen, everything. You know, some people moved from typing on typewriters to typing on the computer, and they got the job, and they kept increasing value that way, and they still kept getting job and paid. You know, but the people that were scared and took no action, you know, they were the people that maybe, I don't know, maybe went back to the farm or whatever they got to do, because they had only one skill that there was no future in. So for instance, if you are a filmmaker, I would like to say the way I approach using AI, I use AI like a PA. So let's say if I want to work on something, before AI became mainstream, what would I do? I would maybe go to Google, search for hours, copy my links, the links I find interesting, paste it somewhere else so that I would drill deeper into it, you know, spend maybe 2 hours to be able to work on something. Now, so instead of using Google now, I could either use Google's AI, Gemini, or if I use ChatGPT or Perplexity, anyone you want to use, it can drill down that 2-hour work for me and compress it to 10 seconds. And I have all my information to jumpstart what I want to do. So even if you look at the fine print on most of the AI engines, they will tell you AI is not perfect. It can make mistakes. If you check the fine print, you will always see something like that there. So it's not also intended for you to use as a final work. You know, so you want to do something new. So for instance, you want to start a new business, you don't know what's needed there. Okay, you want to research about a new thing you want to work on. It will help you with your preliminary information. Then you can use that to now drill down. So like you said, if you're a story writer, it can give you ideas on, okay, what are the stories that are trending, what are the styles you can use, and from there you can now put your own creative touch on it and make it unique. So in summary, yes, it will take some jobs if people don't sit up and you expect that, okay, I'm doing this thing. No, life is, you have to keep learning, stay hungry. So as new technology comes, as new things come up, learn them and figure out ways how it would help your work. So for instance, you know, if you were doing manual things before, maybe you have to read emails. Now there are AI agents. Maybe you want to set up an agent that would help you attend to customers, and you take that off your time. That helps you to have more time to write. So it's not just in your active work. There are also other repeated tasks that you do around your dailies, you know, what you do daily, that you can use AI to help you and do those parts so that you can have more time to do the things you love doing. Yep.
Thank you so much. I'm coming to you with that same question. The last time we had a conversation here about AI, I talked about Chain Reaction, a PR company that more or less employed AI, bought an AI machine from wherever, gave it a Yoruba name, and then that AI machine has tasks that it would do. And you know, we cannot but keep talking about the reality of AI. So, same question about job losses and how to navigate it.
I think that's the, I said there are three big questions around AI and creative. That's the second big question. So is AI coming to take my job? Me, I would like, yes, AI is coming to take your job. I think that's the reality and the mindset you need to work with. Regardless of what you do, AI is coming to take your job. And I think the one key thing, I always say that the biggest factor that AI is bringing into the world is not the AI itself. It is in how much more it has accelerated innovation. Because before now, if we look at it from way back, the industrial age, how long it took us to go from the industrial age to the mechanical age, from the mechanical age to the computer age, it took us maybe 100 years to go past that process. And then from there we got to the computer age, which was in the early 90s. And then it took us some 10, 20 years. So that process has shrinked. What AI helps us do is that process of creating other things that can create other things and create other innovation is now a lot shorter. If you are believing that, oh, as of right now, there is no AI that can do a dance show, I can bet you because of that accelerated effect of innovation, in another 6 months, you'll be surprised that there's some other innovation that now allows people to do live stage performances with AI. I don't need a dancer to come on the stage. Everything you see is AI and it looks real, it's perfect. So when people ask me that, whether AI has already taken your job or is not, yes, AI is coming for your job. And that's the mindset you should work with. For some people, it's a lot more real. There's a project that I worked on recently that it's an animation project, a 3D animation project for a kids series and the likes. And this is a project that I've done something similar in the past. And I remembered when we wanted to do the soundtrack back then, the soundtrack alone took like 2 whole months to do. And it was back and forth. In fact, we had like 3 different musicians. We fired the first 2, then got because they were not doing, wasn't like the quality we wanted. Then rehearsals, we go to the studio, record, master, do all of that, then put it inside there. So for this particular project, I know of Suno AI. I've never used it. And then I just said, oh, let me see how this works. And I paid just $10. And also the amount of money it took back then. And then I paid Suno AI just $10. And I gave it a prompt, create a soundtrack that does this with this kind of music. In fact, it generated the lyrics itself.
You want BR Olori to start to have problems.
BR is his heart is going up and down. and then I put the prompt in there. And at first try, the first thing it generated, I was like, wonderful. And it was the first thing that came to my mind that this is very scary if I was a musician, because that is the end of 90% of corporate jingles and gigs for musicians. Because I was telling a friend that we're working on the project together, this is not to throw shade on people like BR. BR is one of the best musicians I know in this country, but I was telling him that there's no musician, in fact, that would give me the quality of what I've gotten in 5 seconds from this AI in that period. And it's because this, and like I said, it's a body of knowledge. This is the AI that can sing like Michael Jackson and write like Whitney Houston and do all of that. So the reality is, to compete with AI is not where we should be at. You cannot. It's not even possible. So again, the fear is a welcomed fear. But what I believe people should do more of is to not fear that, oh, AI is taking my job, is to fear that, oh, there's a change that's happening that I need to be a part of. So is to also now start looking, I think we're also talking about how creatives should, or that one is another question. Is it just the fear we're talking about now?
Yeah, you could jump into it, and how because the question I want to ask next. The question I want to ask next is how would creatives, he works with Gig Bank. Gig Bank is Nigeria's foremost bank for gigs. If you're a gig person and you don't have a Gig Bank account, you are still joking, because It's easy to make money and get your dollar account transferred without even thinking about it. You know, it's very easy, very easy. And so I wanted to, you know, talk to him first. All your bitcoins and the rest. Gigbank has a structure for it. You know, I've seen it. I've seen it work. So I wanted to come back to him, but since you want to answer the question, the big question would be, okay, this AI that you're using to scare us, or use this AI that has come, and you have scared BR Olori. How will BR Olori navigate AI to become not just a better musician, but to access more jobs, access more visibility, get more insights on how people feel about his music, and all of that. You know, I'm using BR as a scapegoat, but there are other people in the space. Yeah.
Okay, so again, like I had said before, yes, the fear is a valid fear, but it should not be a fear of this thing is coming. It's a fear of the change that is happening. And like Babatokwe said, it's the same with when computer age came. There were a lot of people. The reality was we stopped having typists, but the smart typists were the first to become the first set of desktop publishers because they adapted with what is happening. And I think that's also the reality of today for creatives. So as a writer, as a photographer, how do you leverage these things? And there's also one thing, there's something about Nigerians that I've noticed is the fact that we like sufferhead. We feel like it is validation for the output we are putting out. If I do something easy, then, or if I do something that takes me 10 days of grind, and someone else does that something similar and it takes them 30 minutes, we tend to feel like, no, now you use the AI to do your own. I think that's the first mindset that needs to go. Because what it would help you do is makes it easier for you to also be able to compete. What do I mean by that? So in instances, maybe as a writer, or as a photographer, that's a good example, where you have to sit down and spend hours on end editing a single image, when you can just put it into an AI retouching tool, and it will do maybe even a better job than you would do in your 2 hours. It will do a better job in 2 minutes. So as a creative, is understanding, as against sitting down with Photoshop or what's this other one that they use for editing picture for hours, you now need to start realizing, you're still because you already have domain knowledge and domain expertise in that space, the output you can create and the trust people would have with even knowing that this person is using AI as a photographer compared to a random person who is just doing it already still gives you an edge. So the way to approach it is looking at how to maximize the benefit. AI is democratizing a lot of things for everybody. It's the same way. AI with tech as well. Some people can now go into Lovable and enter one prompt. But the reality is, if I see a Lovable website, immediately I can tell that, this is, and I already know the kind of lapses that I would have. But because I understand a little bit about tech, I could still use the same Lovable to create a website and maybe know that, let me ask it to import ShadCN to get better interface. And these are the usual security loops that AI would have, and I can ask it to fix that. I'm still using the same AI. I'm working faster. The only difference is if I were to have done that normally, manually, it would have taken months, but now it would take me minutes. So for each of these different creative fields, it's understanding how do I leverage AI to still stay ahead of the game, to still be better, to be more efficient. So true, people can now generate music, but what edge do I have using AI as someone who understands how music works to still be able to now do that better? And there is also the quality bias that would come with this. What we perceive as good quality work, now that AI is involved, it's actually already starting to change. And it would keep changing. There used to be a time that video animation is one of the most complex creative skills you can get, particularly 3D video animation. So some 5-10 years ago, I used to do some small animation. Even if you produce the shittiest 3D animation, everybody will hail you that you even do 3D animation, everybody would hail you. But as AI started coming into play and we started having tools like Creator Studio, where I can just drag and drop and I create a 3D. So our perception of what good quality 3D animation is changes. It would happen the same way too, with music, with writing. So right now, maybe there's some strings that is complex for you to pull off on your guitar, that if anybody hears, they'll be like, BR has done it again. But now, because someone can just sit down and enter a prompt and they can create the same thing, then that thing that used to be wow is no longer as wow. So it's in understanding, it's in understanding, how do I, as a creative who understand this space, how can I keep pushing the frontier of what quality is supposed to look like now that I have AI?
So, yeah. Oh, okay. So I'm going to have to invite. I like to look at those names before I mention them because I don't want to massacre anybody's name. But let's talk about one of the experiences that I've had with AI before I invite her. I was on a certain panel where we were talking about AI, and I mentioned that you could actually do Fela's song in high life, and and I'm sure that the Anikulapo family will not sue anybody if you do that because of copyright issues. All of those angles of copyright will surely change as time goes by. And yeah, we are lucky to have someone who is sitting on copyright issues, sitting on licensing for Africa, who works and continue to work with music in Africa. And her name is Amanda Uzuagba. She is the head of music at Mundo. So Amanda, welcome. I'm sure that the many wedding ceremonies happening around has kept traffic. There's a lot of traffic, and I hear some people are doing wedding towards that route. So, yeah, I understand that you are late. We'll give you that. We'll fine you later for coming late, but you're welcome. So, Amanda, I was talking about copyrights. For many creatives, copyright is a big deal for them, and the violation of one's copyright is a big deal. So we'll come to you, and you will help us understand how we are likely to navigate copyright laws, the new copyright laws, and music in the age of AI, amongst other questions. So for now, I want you to take a breather, drink water, drop cup, so that. Yeah, so I want to come back to you. I remember at the time, there was this rumor about people making money off AI, and a lot of people were scammed. Can you remember that time? Yeah, a lot of people were scammed, and a lot of people are still being scammed by this whole idea of AI can make you a lot of money, bring 500, put it in AI, you will make 5 million, I think we need to educate people more about AI, and how it works. So the question for me is, how do creatives in the gig space, how do you think that they can deploy AI, and what platforms are available for people to leverage to get more money and sustainability? We are talking about sustainability here. What platforms are available? I know Upwork, I know Fiverr, but what other platforms are available that will allow them work and will also allow them to use AI?
Okay, so in the age we are now, most of it's like I said earlier, all the platforms available now, they allow you to use AI. And a lot of times you might, in some cases, might need to cite, the source of your work. So sometimes that's just the added information that is important to have at that to know. So in some cases when you work using AI, you need to cite it there, for legal reasons, so they could prove that it's not your own intellectual property and all that, so.
In terms of skills, what skills do you think that people should more or less acquire? So in terms of skills, what skills do you think that people should more or less acquire at this time as a creative to sort of improve one's outcome and visibility and also gain more income? What sort of skills? Say a storyteller, what sort of additional skills do you think that one could leverage?
Okay, so straight to the point, we are here, we're talking about AI. You need to research about how that specifically affects your own field. So like from normal research, I know that there are AI tools now that you can use to create new songs entirely. So like R&B songs, it will create the lyrics, it will create the instrumental, it will create the lead vocals, the backup vocals. Yes. Do you know? So it's possible, and it can pass for. There are even songs online that you don't know that are AI. They are popular on TikTok. They are, at least at some point, I heard of a Drake song. I don't know. I'm sure most of us know Drake. I heard of a Drake song that was popular, only to know, I can't remember the title now. Only to know later that it was 100% AI prompted. It wasn't produced by him. It was not a song at all. But it was popular and people were using it. So for whatever, so I'm into engineering software. For me, what I do is I look for the tools that help me accelerate my work. For instance, at least in engineering, I know that AI in the next 2 years will do a better job. But right now, it's not doing the best job yet. But with the speed that it's growing, so I don't want us to sit down and feel like, okay, it's not good yet, I'm safe. No, nobody is safe. So let's look at how we can use it to accelerate our work now. So for instance, if you're a music producer, okay, what can I use to get those lyrics out quickly and now work on it to be able to get more clients? You understand? So for instance, like I said, you do jingles. Instead of saying, okay, I want to sit down and mix this all night, if you can have, you have 3 clients that want their job done quickly. Instead of saying, okay, to take me 1 week each, you get your job in 3 weeks' time. If you can get their job to them in 3 days, that increases your own, you get a good job out, and you can get more jobs, and also grow and make more money. So that's one way, then top of look at in your field, if you're into maybe graphics, design, maybe something like Midjourney would be something that most creatives are using now to, maybe create your illustrations or create your tools that you use as raw material, then put your touch to it, and that's basically it.
Okay, so Habib. Yeah, and then Amanda.
Okay, so I think this is the most critical aspect of this conversation. I think if there is one thing that I enjoy doing a whole lot is looking at what's the best way to get the best out of some particular opportunity. Some couple days back, I was reading, I saw a news which I shared with some friends, and I was talking about it. And I don't know if anybody knows the musician Zia Monet. She has been on plenty Spotify top across so many countries. And what a lot of people do not know is that Zia Monet is not a person. It's AI. And the news I saw recently was I just signed a $3 million deal with Universal Music, and she was nominated for the Grammys. AI. So this is not something that is like it's AI, is in the future. No, this is something that is already happening. So when I first saw that, the fun thing about that, the person behind that account, is that the person is not even a music person. It was just a random bored person that decided to create music. So the question that first came to my mind when I saw that is, why did no musician that understands music better, understand how to make music better, be the one to take advantage of that opportunity? Because I would expect that as a musician, because the reason why that person can create work that is that good, that has now gotten hundreds of millions of streams across different platforms, is because of the advantage AI gave them. So I would expect that someone who is a creative would be able to use those advantages better. And these are some of the ways, there are still some plenty legal loopholes around it. And it's nice that we have Amanda here. She's the legal person to help us navigate those as well. But as of right now, if people are doing that to make money, then do it. I have a friend who is not really a writer, but he used to be a marketer. He works in digital marketing. And I think some couple weeks back, I was discussing with him, and he was talking about Amazon KDP and the fact that, he makes $2,000-$3,000 easy from Amazon KDP monthly. And I barely even does anything because it's a game of numbers. Because before now, the reason why publishing wasn't so lucrative was the amount of time it took you to write a book. And then you put it up on Amazon and you get a couple sales. But what it does is, he now has a ready-made AI agent that just gives a topic and a synopsis and it creates a book for him. So what he does is he publishes like 50 books every week. Like, even if it is 2 or 3 that is selling for each of them every month, he's still making a couple $1,000s every month using AI. This person is not even a writer. He doesn't even understand what a good book might look like. Maybe he has an idea, of course, maybe because he reads and all. But compared to someone like Femi Morgan that has spent all of his years doing books and reading books, even did PhD on top of it. So, and we also have access to these same AI tools. So the key thing is, as creatives, is about understanding what superpower can I get from this thing. It's the same, I think I was one of the few people that benefited from the, when this happened within the web design space, when we started having content management systems. Yeah. I started learning small HTML, CSS, JavaScript at some point. I was like, oh, this thing is too hard. And I was lucky enough, the period I was complaining JavaScript was too hard was when platforms like WordPress and the likes came. The other of my colleagues will be like, oh no, you are not a web developer if you are using WordPress. But the thing is, it was taking them 2 months to create one website. Me, in 2 days, I've designed the website, I've collected my money, I've moved on to the next client. I've designed a new website, I've collected. So when they are, and we are charging the same amount. So the period it is taking them to do one website, me, I've done 15 websites, I've collected my money. You people should keep saying I'm not a web developer because I'm using a tool that makes it easier. So it's also with you as a creative, understanding what advantage does AI give me in today's age. I'm a writer. Is it that AI helps me publish book faster? Publish as, come and publish with Fairchild Media. But, you don't really need a publisher these days. Yeah. It's also as easy to the extent that you have AI that will help you write the book. You have AI that will help you publish the book. You even have AI that will help you market the book. If you don't even need to know how to market. You have AI that would tell you, oh, there is an AI for Amazon advertising platform now. That you just need, oh, it's a book I want to sell. Oh. They will just tell you, put small, how much is your budget, you just put, and it helps you optimize your campaigns. So I think the key thing, the primary thing to look out for here is, this might differ depending on your creative field, but the primary thing is, what AI is giving you is an advantage. How do I leverage this advantage? Is it that if what you can do before is one work per every 5 days, does AI give me the advantage to be able to do 100 work in that same time period? It means we can serve more people. Does it mean I can create much better quality work in that same period and the likes? So look for the advantage AI offers you and make sure that you're maximizing it.
Oh, what I would just say in addition to that is that, what I would say in addition to that, in order to be unserious, is that AI can give you so much, but it can't give you feminine energy. AI can give you so much, but it cannot give you feminine energy.
You joke.
So in order for us not to just turn this conversation to a masculine conversation, let's hand over the mic to Amanda, who's going to put a bit of feminine energy into this conversation. So Amanda, let's talk about how creatives can leverage AI before we go into the technicalities of copyright and all of that. Yeah, so how do you think that musicians, photographers, writers, songwriters can leverage AI at this time? Because the challenge for many creatives is originality. The second challenge is many of them are steeped in traditional systems of production, you know. And whether we like it or not, our systems of production will soon become traditional. So, how do you think that creatives can leverage AI to become better and to get better outcomes?
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good evening. First, apologies for being late. Okay, so Habib said something that was very key, which is why hasn't any artist thought about creating a music talent that can basically rule the charts and all of that? And that's because most creatives, what I've noticed is that they are still fighting the AI system. They're like, oh no, I know, I think an actress was debuted in America, and then the actors came together and they are saying no, they should ban such actress. And the truth about it is that we cannot fight AI. It's just like when some technological advancements came before now, those that fought it, we are left behind. So you have to adapt. Now also, if you think that your creative work is one that AI is going to challenge badly or make absolute, then learn how to control the AI. Because at the end of the day, AI is not a human being. Now, the artist that was signed by UMG is not AI that signed the contract. AI is not considered human by law. So the contract was entered between either the AI company or the prompter. So you still have to know what align with AI. So you could make your work better. I have lawyers that have integrated. I think genuinely everyone is silently moving from that point of fearing it. I know lawyers are still integrating AI into their system to make their work faster. At the end of the day, because of the way AI is, at least for now, like he said, it's not going to ever do the job better than you. So it's your experience. For example, I'm a lawyer. Anyone here can put on ChatGPT, give me, let's say, music publishing agreement. I need to give you something that might be standard, but due to my experience, I know if this contract can work for you or not. That experience is something AI cannot have. But then if I'm here fighting with AI to say, no, I must draft the contract myself, people are going to leave me behind because what? AI is going to draft it faster than me. No matter what, we can't fight that part. But it's not left to me to bring my experience and to get myself to a better position that I now collaborate with the AI self to give you the work that you want. So for every creative, I know last month there was a point Nano Banana was ringing for everyone. I indulged fully, and in my head I was like, oh, it's going to make photographers obsolete. But one thing I noticed was when I give it a command that is just like what every layman can give, it gives me a picture, but it's not an impressive picture. But if I get one that has like those particular, oh, the aperture has to be like this has to be like that, it gives me something more crisp. But guess what? I don't know all of that because I'm not a photographer. It's only a photographer that can know, okay, these are the specifics. If it's going to be an outdoor shoot, this is how the lighting is supposed to do and all of that. So what are photographers supposed to do? Cooperate and collaborate with AI to make your work faster. Integrate it to your system, because if you keep fighting it, everybody's just going to move on. AI is here to stay. It's here to stay. Now, let's say you're a script writer. AI can write script, but guess what? AI cannot make the script Nigerian. That's the truth. So guess what? Your work now moves from just being a script writer to being a story consultant to be a dialogue expert, because only you know how Nigerians speak. It's just there was an AI panel I was on last month, and girl was saying, oh, she told AI to give her a picture of an African woman wearing traditional wear, and what? It gave Nigerian traditional wear, and it gave her a woman wearing kante, right? Ghana, this. Is yet, the materials they're using to train it is yet to evolve to the point of knowing the difference between how guys in Malawi dress and how guys in Nigeria dress. For now, they're seeing African as just one. So if you're here shouting or fighting and saying, oh no, AI is stealing my job as a script writer, you have something you're sleeping on. So what? Present the opportunity out, collaborate with AI to make the work better, faster. I was talking to my friend that was a lawyer. She was like, oh, back in the day, she has to draft all the agreements. Now, when someone gives her, she just put on AI and give her the agreement. But guess what? She still has to go through it to say, okay, no, this does not work in Nigeria. Oh, this cannot work in this situation, because it has to tell her it to the transaction at hand. But what she's collaborating it to make her work easier and faster. Now she spent 2 hours to handle that transaction. In a normal day, she would have spent 4 days or 3 days to handle. So I think for every creative, the long and short of it is, if we keep fighting it, now the artist that was signed by UMG, it's possible the prompter is someone that doesn't even like outside, an introvert that will never be seen on red carpet, that is somewhere hiding and just shy, but the person is dominating charts and making money. I really don't want to start coming to the legal aspect because I don't understand how I was nominated for Grammy, but okay. I'll leave that for when you ask me legal questions to answer. But I think generally in creative points, just collaborate or learn to control it, because at the end of the day, we need humans for AI, and AI is here to stay.
Yeah, I want you to stay with the mic. Like I asked you, the issue of originality is now put on, the long news, which means that whether we like it or not, the issue of originality is by and large contested. And originality is the basis of copyright. Originality and sharing of your originality, sharing of your work. That's the basis of copyright. And so if, for example, I'm a writer, I'm lucky to have written books before AI, so, which means that you cannot say that I'm not original. The only challenge that you will have now is maybe my next book will be, but I've written about 6 books. I'm lucky to have written about 6 books before AI, so thank God. Originality and sharing are the 2 legs. It has other legs, but the core legs are originality and sharing. And originality is in question. How do we navigate copyright in the age of AI? How do you navigate originality in the age of AI? As a lawyer, as a music lawyer. Yeah.
From legal standpoint. Okay, so first of all, our copyright laws haven't evolved to meet the AI system or the AI generation yet. And it hasn't even evolved on a global scale. I know Nigeria were a bit slow with things. So it hasn't evolved at all. But I know because of the popularity of AI, people are beginning to ask questions. For example, he said, there's systems or AI that can turn Fela's song into hip-hop and high life and all of that. Now, as a lawyer, what comes to mind is, did they use Fela's song to train that AI? And if they did, who did they take permission from to do that? So those are some of the structural fights that the likes of Universal and the Warner Music and big labels are suing Suno and Udio, I think, for. And now I think with Suno, they have gotten to an arrangement where, okay, you can use our materials for a certain, but on a normal day, an AI system or an AI machine shouldn't train on materials without permission. So that's the first leg when it even comes to the legal part, which is where most lawyers are trying to say, okay, can we have some kind of policy around this and find a way to structure it, and if possible, have someone, an institution that will be responsible for administering those rights. Let's start from there. Then we now get to the point of the materials that come out, who owns it? Can we consider, because for it to be copyrightable, it has to be original and it has to be in fixed form. Yeah. Now it's in fixed form, but is it original? That boils down to that question. But beyond that, the question now is, can the person who owns the material, someone said, is it the machine that gave the response, the prompter that put in the prompt, or the owner of the material that was used to train the machine? And sadly, I think the closest guys have gotten to put a structure around that ownership is US Copyright Office, where they brought out the law saying that an AI machine cannot own a copyright, and copyright cannot be said or attributed to an AI. So it has to be attributed, and first, it can only be copyrightable if there's an extent of human effort administered on it. So it's not just you put in one prompt and it give you an output. You put in prompts upon prompts, we are fine-tuning it, and to an extent, you can actually prove that there was certain level of creativity that was used to create it. Then that at its initial instance can be seen as, okay, this is copyrightable. Then now boils down to who owns the copyright. Sadly, the part of who owns copyright, we're still trying to figure it out. But I think the biggest fight here, which everyone has to find a way to stand behind, is based on the materials. Now, Fave came out online to say her music, she put in her music and gave an output that is much more better than what she had. But that's Fav using her own song, so that's fine. But beyond it, for an AI, first of all, to be able to even do all of this, still boiling back to the materials used, how did you get it to that point? And I think that's where most of legal fights currently are happening. And if in near future we get to the point of answering who owns what, clearly, then I'll give you guys a response.
So quick questions. Question and recognition. My guy is here. His name is Rez Afolabi. He's the convener of Greats and Bards, one of the biggest culture meetups, culture village in Nigeria. So, and he has some question. But before I allow you to ask that question, I also like to recognize Professor Ben Tomoloju. I've elevated you to professorship. He's a board member of Cora. Anote is not around, he's moving around a bit. So, Rez, you have a question. So after your question, we'll be closing this session because we've been told that we have to close the session. Yeah.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Hi, Amaka, right? Amanda, yes. My question is very simple. I can't quote the legal reference per se, but I know, for example, if I give the photographer a brief now, right, and it takes a picture or it makes a video for me, I have right of use, right? But he retains the copyright. Why does that not apply to AI? That principle.
Well, for now, I would say probably we've not figured it out or we've not thought about it that way. But for a photographer's point of view, the fact that you have right of use doesn't still mean you can monetize it. And I think that's what it is currently with AI. No one is going to ban you from putting in your prompt and having music and using it. The only thing that the problem now boils down to monetization, which is a bedrock or one of the rights you have as the owner of a copyright. There are two rights, there's moral and there's economic rights. So that monetization part, that's the part that everyone is trying to fight, and the moral part is who are we going to credit this to? But on the part of you just using it for using sake, you can do that. I think everyone here in the comfort of their room, and this is open to all copyrightable materials. If you're using it for personal use that is not commercial, no one is going to fight you, but it's not that monetization point that changes. And even using the photography example you gave, the most you have as the subject of the photography is privacy. So that means the photographer cannot do certain things with those pictures without talking to you, but not monetization. Yeah.
I have him or them in the room. I'm going to commercialize my work. But he still has his copyright, and I have my copyright. Because it's paid for, I don't know how we say.
You don't have your copyright, you just have right of use, that's all. But that's the thing. Copyright now, you can't say you're the owner of it and you can't monetize it. Once those two are not there, you don't own the copyright.
So,
okay. So in that situation now, except a situation, this one now is very much outside AI, but in a situation where he's under a proper employer-employee kind of relationship or a contract, then the copyright then belongs to you. Do you get? Because even a normal engagement contract, except if you clearly transfer intellectual property, is not automatic. So it's only under the umbrella of employment that is going to be an automatic transfer to you.
So it goes back to my question: why does that principle not transfer? So when you spoke about the U.S., and I think every country has these slight tweaks, but the principle is largely the same, right? Why is it a conundrum with AI?
So who is the employer, who is the employee with AI?
Let's not use the employer and employee, let's use the producer. I am the producer, AI is executing my brief. I own the copyright, I can monetize, I can commercialize. Why is it complicated to have a landing? I'm paying for that too, I'm subscribing for it. And yes, you also described the cycle of prompts, the creativity to get the polished final results, which means I guided it towards an end result. Same way I will give a brief to a videographer. That's why I said,
based on U.S. Office or U.S. Copyright Office law, which is first the only law we have that has touched AI, it said if you can show to an extent human contribution and that human creativity has been put to it, then you can own the copyright. But if it's just a situation of someone playing around with prompts and having an output, you can't exactly say that's a copyrightable material.
All right, so let me just say my question again. Why is it complex that when you said we are still not clear on monetization? The principles are not different. Why can't I monetize? So the question is really not about who owns that. So if we already agree, but why is it complicated to monetize? It's commercial anyways.
I think it's complicated because the bedrock and the foundation of it was not done properly. So like I said, first for you to train your LLMs, you're supposed to take permission from the owners of the materials. But most of these were done because everyone was not looking at AI at the moment and they were just developing their stuff. So now they're getting the point of, ownership and monetization. That's why the likes of, let's use music now, that's why the likes of UMG is saying, okay, what materials did you use to create? Some authors are also saying, okay, for this writing part, what materials did you use to create? So I think the major reason why it seems like a muddy place for most lawyers is the fact that the foundation wasn't properly done. Everyone wasn't like carried along from the beginning. It wasn't done properly. So it's not like ABC. There's still some complication on the back end that needs to be sorted out for us to have a simpler understanding of it.
All right, so I don't take too much time. I should let it go, but I get it, especially if you are sourcing data that you don't own.
So we are done with this session. I think that what we should do, I said it before that when
they didn't ask the men questions. They only asked the ladies questions. So it boils down to feminine energy. Anyway, but we are done with this session. You can have private chats with Amanda
Ozuagba, who is the head of licensing for Mundo Africa. You can have your
chit-chat with Habib Abdijola, who is the CEO and founder of GrowthVast and head of marketing for Geekbank. And you can also have quick conversations with Babatokpe Oni, who is the CTO of Geekbank. Yeah, my name is Femi Morgan. I'm the founder, CEO of Fairchild Media, former permanent member of the Punch editorial board, now going into AI. Anyway, so let's have a quick picture, and then every other person, you are all important, come join us upstage. Let's have a group picture as well. So we'll have pictures together, and then we'll have group pictures. Thank you.
All right, good evening, everyone. Immediately, the second session starts. So the Cora and now dialogue will be hosted at the Esther Revenge. Sandra, can you please just direct all our guests for Cora and our dialogue to the Esther Revenge? While we having the boot track 2 and boot track 3 here. So on that list, we'll be having Mumbi, written by Maja Kodun. I'll also be having Dele Shikwade, that is Orisha. So please just sit tight, sit behind. The boot 2 and boot track 3 will be starting immediately. So the Cora Anna dialogue will be hosting at Esther Revenge. Please don't go anywhere. Please don't go anywhere. Please sit tight. Esther Revenge. Esther Revenge is. Yes. All right. So immediately after the picture, please let's sit tight. We are starting the boot track 2 and boot track 3 immediately. So photographer, please let's make that one snappy. Let's make it snappy, everyone. We start immediately the boot track 2 and the boot track 3. Thank you, everyone. All right. So please sit tight. The next program starts immediately. The next program starts immediately. The next program starts immediately. So good evening, everyone. It is time for the Cora boot track. The Cora boot track. It is time for the Cora boot track. And on this segment, we'll be discussing 2 powerful books. On this segment, we'll be discussing 2 powerful books. One written by our one and only Dede Shukwade, titled Orisha. And the second one is Mumbi, an anthology of short story by our honorable author. Please, let's leave the stage. The third session starts immediately. Thank you. All right. So for those who actually come for the Cora Anna dialogue to be hosting at Esther Revenge, same time immediately. Okay. All right. Please, let's move forward. Please, let's move forward. Please, let's move forward. Please. So those who actually are coming late will join us and sit at the back. Those who come late will join us and sit at the back. Okay. All right. So on this panel, we have 3 speakers. So let me bring the first person who is actually in the room immediately.